What's going on, everyone? Dom from the Game Looters here, and today, my friends, we have a special video. We are looking at the first impressions of Donkey Kong Bonanza, but we're also doing a unboxing as well. So we're going to be taking a look at the Amiibo as well as the game. So we're going to be getting into Donkey Kong Bonanza here today. We're going to be going over the back, kind of what information is here. And then later in the video, we're going to be going over my first impressions of the game after I play, a couple of hours of the game, letting you know, is this game of the year worthy? So first and foremost, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe, especially if you like videos like this where we unbox a game. And in this case, we're unboxing the Amiibo as well too, but normally just the game. But let me know if you like these kinds of videos down in the comments below, and what are your first impressions of Donkey Kong Bonanza? Shout down in the comments and please let me know. All right, get excited, get hyped. We have Donkey Kong Bonanza here, which I am extremely excited to get into. So first and foremost, we're going to put the Amiibo to the side right now. We're going to take a look at that in a second, but look how cool Pauline looks in this too. I really like it. I was going 50-50. Do I open it? Do I not open it? But the reality is I want to display this, and I also want to be able to use it as well. You can use it by just kind of pushing, really hard onto your Switch. If you have it not docked, but if you're using a handheld, you can use them. But the reality is I want this one out. I actually really like it quite a bit. But anyways, let's get into the actual game here. Looking at the back, we see here a groundbreaking adventure. Explore Wild World and Golden Banana. So kind of like how we found you found moons in Mario 3D World, or how you found I think it was moons as well too in Mario Odyssey. On this one here, we have find golden bananas, which is going to be really cool. And then we can see there is Donkey Kong in one of his transformations there as well too. It also says here, buddy up with 2-player co-op. I don't know how fun that is, so I may or may not get to try. I'll see if I can force one of my kids to play with me. Then it says, go ahead and paint, sculpt using mode controls in DK artist mode, which is pretty cool. And then Pauline sings Donkey Kong transforms. So kind of the 1-2 punch between Pauline and between Donkey Kong. And I just love that they're kind of giving her a second lease on life, considering that she was, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but she was the damsel in distress in the original Donkey Kong, which I think, her getting a second lease on life, considering how, popular she was in Mario Odyssey, I think it's really cool. But Donkey Kong Bonanza right there, the spine looks really cool. So let's go ahead and get into this guy. Let's go ahead and open this one here. So again, super excited to get into this. This is getting crazy ratings. I think this is sitting at like a 91 on Metacritic. So a game of the year worthy game right here as well, which I think is really cool. So let's look inside of Donkey Kong Bonanza, and so I mean, it has some art behind it, but because it's just so deep red, it's kind of hard to see a little bit. We'll take that out in a second. There's the cartridge, and not yellow. I know a lot of people are disappointed in that, a call out to the N64 Donkey Kong, but there's the cartridge there. So it looks really good. I actually really like the red cartridges. They're growing on me quite a bit here. So that's the cartridge there. Looks really good. And then let's take a look at the art. So let's pull this guy out there. Let's take a look at the art that's inside. Oh, that's really nice. So not quite reversible, but again, Donkey Kong and Pauline kind of sharing a moment there. And then there's some language there about customer service. So that looks really good. I like that quite a bit. I think they really nailed it with this one. I kind of wish the inside was, it's kind of hard to do, right? Because, obviously the actual games are so deep red. But I wish it was like more transparent here so I could see the art. It's just kind of hard to see it a little bit because it's just so deep red. You guys can let me know what you guys think. But that is Donkey Kong Bonanza. And again, first impressions coming in just a moment. All right, now taking a look at the Amiibo. So we'll try to open this one. I was going to be gentle with it, but at the end of the day, if I want one sealed, I'll probably try and find another one at some point. But we're going to go ahead and get into this guy here. And we're going to see on what this one ends up looking like. And I still go back and forth all the time too when it comes to Amiibo. I'm like, do I keep them all sealed? I have a big sealed collection. I also have a collection that is not sealed. I've bought in duplicates before, just to make sure I have, one that's sealed and one that's not. I go back and forth with Amiibos all the time, as I probably will continue to forever. But Okay, there it is right there. Oh my God, that's looking good. Look at there's DK, and it has a lot of texture here too, which I think is really, really cool. Pauline in the back. You guys want a little feet service action there? Look at there you go. Bam. Bam, bam, bam. That's cool. You see her ripples in her jeans. That's cool. A little Donkey Kong butt action there. There it is. Boom. He's back. He's back. He's back. He's right there. He's punching his way through. That is a really cool looking amiibo there. That's a really cool looking amiibo. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. And I think with this, you're going to be able to access, I think, like a costume or something. So I'll put that down. We'll kind of read the back here. Let's see if it tells us what specifically we can access. And it doesn't. It's kind of weird that they do that. It doesn't actually tell you specifically, like, hey, here's what you're going to be able to get with this amiibo. But let me know in the comments what you can get with it. But I believe it's like a costume or like, like a costume change for them in one of the rest areas. So yeah, more to come here. You guys are going to hear future me a little later, well, not a little later. As soon as this transition, you're going to hear future me talking about my first impressions of Donkey Kong Bonanza. But there it is, the amiibo and the Donkey Kong Bonanza game. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below and stay around for my first impressions. All right, future Dom here, and I hope you guys enjoyed that unboxing. Make sure you guys hit the like button and definitely help me out. So here's the thing, is this ended up being a review impressions. I had gone in and I was just going to play 45 minutes, an hour of Donkey Kong Bonanza, and it ended up consuming my whole entire weekend, which is why my video is very late, and now I'm just reviewing the game. So let's talk today all about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Thank you guys again so much for watching the unboxing. Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts about Donkey Kong Bonanza in the comments below. Is it your game of the year? Question mark. Well, let's talk about all about Donkey Kong Bonanza right here. So first off, the story. The story is really fun, and it's all about Donkey Kong and Pauline. So essentially, Donkey Kong is just checking in a normal work day. He's just hitting the construction site, and all of a sudden, everything goes crazy. And his whole entire company gets sucked in to this vortex, and they're suddenly in the underground, in the crater of the world, all caused by an evil company called Voidco. So it's now Donkey Kong's job to go and investigate and fix things and try to see how do we get back to the surface. Along the way, Donkey Kong runs into a robot that he ends up chasing down and becoming companions with, and they both say, we're gonna make it to the core. And later on, when facing Voidco, that little robot ends up transforming or popping out Pauline, who is actually stuck inside of the robot, and she also wants to go and get to the core. But before they do, they have to face Voidco and get their reign of reckoning down in the underground to stop, get the bananas back, and find their way back to the core, all while Pauline finds herself, finds her powers, and finds who she is. So here's the thing. The story of Donkey Kong Bonanza isn't going to go win any kind of awards, but it's creative, it's fun, and it's engaging enough that keeps you raising kind of like, these very simple questions like, well, what is Pauline's power? How does she discover this? How did we start singing here? Why is it that we are the Bonanza? You know what I mean? Because you're going to get your powers through rituals with certain elders in each level and you're going to do like the Bonanza ritual. So it's like, well, why you specifically? So you kind of get these little questions that kind of begin to brew as you begin to unlock the different Bonanza forms and you find a little bit more out about Pauline. I won't ruin anything about the story. It's definitely something that is fun and definitely should be experienced for sure. Overall, just fantastic. The gameplay. So the gameplay of Donkey Kong Bonanza is Bonanza. It's bananas. It is. It's crazy. It's so much fun. Basically the game just kind of throws you in and you just start demolishing absolutely everything. So much so that on the Nintendo Switch 2, I've been primarily playing docked. I have played maybe about 25% of the game. Probably about 20%. I probably played about 20% of the game in handheld mode, as I was like watching TV or, doing whatever on the bed. But for the most part, it's about 80% that I've been playing the game on the TV. And primarily it's because of the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, because I had to map the Y button to the back of my controller because pushing Y so much, to go and you do your Donkey Kong fist, basically. You do your destruction. It just took so much out of my fingers that literally it felt like I was like early onset arthritis. But the gameplay is so much fun. You go through and it just really rewards you to go find all the secret bananas across every single layer, which is what the different levels are called. They're called layers. There's 17 layers, I think, in total. I think that's what I counted, 17 in total. So there's a lot to explore. And there's a lot of incentives to come back to different layers and find everything, which I think is really, really cool as well, too. But your main thing is get through the layer, find the bananas, find the secrets, find the goodies, find the fossils. And there's a lot of just reward system there. And it rewards you in different items that you can buy, different outfits that you can buy. You can dress yourself. You can dress Pauline. You can change your fur. You can change your, your shorts. You can change your tie. And each of the different outfits have different things attached to them. Like some will help you swim better. Some will help you go through a specific terrain. Some will help your bonanza meter. So it's a big incentive there. But overall, the gameplay is just you go and demolish and find your way through different puzzles, through different layers, through different areas. And you have to figure out a way to kind of like get through the next crater and get through the next layer. As most layers end up having like a boss, whether it's a Void Co-boss or whether it is a boss of just that layer. There's somebody that you have to face to be able to get through the crater to get to the next layer, eventually taking on Void Co, themselves at the end. But overall, the gameplay, it's addictive, it's fun. You're constantly getting new bonanza forms. There's one of them that is absolutely, my favorite, and it's just based on the way that it looks. That is the ostrich bonanza. Again, I'm only going to show footage from the very early game, so I'm going to not ruin any or everything, but the ostrich bonanza is definitely my favorite. It's probably the one that I ended up using the most because it's so useful to get to places and traverse all different layers, and you're able to kind of do things and kind of skip things, and you can go back, which is cool, but you can basically fly your way to certain things. But just absolutely fun. The difficulty is going to be what you make in this game. I don't think it's very difficult. I think it's really cool that they basically provide you a normal mode and an assist mode. I was playing a little bit with my kids, and assist mode is awesome because it just basically tells you like, hey, here's your next goal, here's where you have to go, and it also replenishes your heart as well too. So it makes it just a tad bit easier in assist mode. But normal mode is basically the same thing. You get your goal, you get a exclamation point like here's where you have to go, and then you basically just begin exploring and get there eventually. So and the bosses too, there are a couple that end up being challenging, but they're challenging in the way that you just need to figure out what's the shtick, what's the way to conquer them. And once you have that figured out, it's pretty cake, figuring it out. But also what's really satisfying is taking out some of the bosses with the inappropriate bonanza mode. I think that is always a really fun time because there are some bosses that expect you to go and do it a certain way, and not doing it that way is always fun. The graphics. So let's talk about the graphics a little bit. Donkey Kong Bonanza, it just looks amazing. Whether you're playing in handheld or whether you're playing like me on a 4K OLED screen, the colors pop. It's vibrant. It looks like a better version of Mario Odyssey on the Switch 2, but Donkey Kong. It looks like Kirby Forbidden Land, but Donkey Kong on the Switch 2. It's kind of hard to explain, but like it looks aesthetically, it has the best things of Odyssey and Kirby Forgotten Land. The best things of there are here in Donkey Kong, but the fur looks awesome. The different bosses you face look incredible. The different NPCs that you come across, whether they're ostrich folk or gorilla folk or zebra folk or whatever, like they look absolutely incredible. The different layers are awesome, and they're so different, right? You might be in the Arctic in one, and then in a tropical forest in another. They have callbacks to Donkey Kong Country, which I think is really, really cool as well, too. So, there's just a lot of nuance to the graphics, and water looks incredible. The different Bonanza modes look incredible. It's definitely in 4K. I don't know if it's 60 frames. I couldn't really tell. If someone said, hey, it's 30 frames, I'd probably believe them. But so I don't have like a FPS meter there, but the graphics just look incredible. It runs really well, runs really smooth, looks great, feels great in both docked and handheld. And again, I was playing primarily on the Pro Controller due to my early onset arthritis that I had going up, but it was incredible. Sound effects, music, and the voices. Voice dialogue is incredible. Pauline, she sings a lot, which sounds really fun. The different language within the game, it's its own set of language. So, you know, there is English by Pauline but the other characters, like the Void Code characters and the different elders and the different folks that you come across, they use their own language in the game. But it's still really well done, and it's really funny. And with Pauline kind of like talking back in English, I think it's the perfect mix. But all the voice actors, they absolutely nail it. It is fun, and it is funny. Music is incredible. The music, you're going to find different CDs or records kind of throughout by exploring and doing certain things. There are certain like mid-bosses that you have to face that will give you records, and you also get records just naturally at your base camps as well too by spending a little bit of coin. There's like one guy who he goes from he'll change from like the clothes guy to your item guy, and if you tip him every single time, eventually he'll give you music over time as well too. But just the music that plays naturally while you're playing the game is just incredible. Each different layer, each area is absolutely unique, has its own music. Each Bonanza transformation has their own music, and it really gets you hyped up. It is just 10 out of 10. They just absolutely nail it. And they also nail just like the kind of like that feeling you had when you were exploring in Zelda Breath of the Wild. There was a moment here, but then there's those moments to where like you're just exploring to where like the music kind of slows down a bit, and they just really nail it. This also extends to the sound effects. I think all the Bonanza sound effects, the banana, the different, the gratification when you're getting certain items, when you're digging, when you are just burrowing through the whole area, you're finding stuff. Everything is just like, it's real gratifying. I think they nail the sound effects. Length of the game. This is kind of hard because my Switch wasn't reporting exactly how much time I spent. But based on the footage that I recorded about 16 hours of footage. So I recorded about 16 and a half hours of footage. So for me, I'm going to say it was about 16, 17 hours. Maybe 18, just because like I said, there was about a few hours, maybe a handful of hours I was playing in handheld mode. So I would say somewhere between 10 and 20 hours is where you'll end up being at, just depending on how much you're exploring. I did it 100%, so I didn't get everything. But I feel like I got a good amount. Like as things caught my attention, I would go and I would explore and I would try to unlock them. But I wasn't like, okay, I'm just gung-ho about unlocking everything. And I wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to go A to B. So I assume if you just went straight, like just boom, 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 boom story, and you didn't really do anything else, maybe about 10-ish hours, you could probably just knock it out. But for me, it took Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to get through the game, and it was about 16 hours of footage that I recorded, and I probably spent somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 4 hours on handheld mode. So I was probably in and around 18 to 20 hours is where I would say. But you know, if you want a specific amount, you can go to like how long to beat, and you can see on how many hours it would take. But this was just my experience as someone who did probably about 60% of, probably 60% of the whole game as far as collectibles and stuff. Replay value is extremely high with this one. I would say because, I didn't unlock everything, I'm going to go back and continue to get all the different bananas. I'm going to go get all the different fossils. I'm going to go get all the different items. I'm going to go buy all the different maps. I'm going to unlock all the different costumes, all the different fur colors, just because I left a lot on the table there. I would, every layer or every layer that had different clothing options, I would try and go in and get at least half of all the clothing options, including the fur. But I try to save a lot of my, not income, but I try to save a lot of the stuff that you spend, like fossils and things. I try to save enough to get to the next layer to get new stuff, each one. So the replay value, I think, is a 10 out of 10. So overall, let me put my final thoughts on it, and this is a long video. My final thoughts with Donkey Kong Bonanza. This is a generational 3D platformer game. You know, for me, my favorite 3D platformers are Mario 3D World and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Those are some of my absolute favorite. When it comes to Donkey Kong Bonanza, this has just been a great time. I have laughed a lot. I have enjoyed my time with it. It never has a dull moment, and it was one of those games that was really hard to put down. For me, I don't know if it's going to take the throne of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, just because that was such a unique experience that I got to stream here on the channel and experience with my wife. So that was more experiential, you know, when it comes to like, would it be my favorite? But overall, I definitely think this was I think this is a hard one to put a rating on, because I'm going between a 9 and a 10. I think man, this is really hard. And I'm doing it real time. I'm doing the math in my head. I'm just thinking about how I talked about the game, how I absolutely enjoyed it, and how I really want my wife and kids to have a run through on their own. I think we're gonna land on a 10. I think this is a 10 out of 10, and you know, my other thought was 9 out of 10, but I feel like 9 out of 10 doesn't do the game justice. I think this was a generational 3D platforming game that has the basis of it. It made me love Donkey Kong, and I'm not a Donkey Kong guy. So I think this was a 10 out of 10 game. I think this absolutely deserves it. And I think this is a perfect 3D platformer to make its debut on the Switch 2. All right, my friends, that's all I got for you. 10 out of 10 is where we landed on this one. Did that math real time in my head with you guys. Love y'all for sticking around with me this whole time. Appreciate you guys. Hit me with your final comments in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on another video right here on the channel. Peace.